Hello and welcome to another one of my Elite Dangerous Beginner Series walkthrough type videos. Um, uh, I'm going to update what I've done before because I've found new ways of doing things and the game's changed a little bit. Uh, Basically what I want to show you is all the vital skills that you need as a new player. Things like how to travel around the universe, how to scan systems, fuel scooping, which is a very important one that people don't normally get right. Outfitting, another thing that beginners mess up a lot at the beginning, uh, and then combat and mining. Um, I'm going to use some sort of slightly avant-garde methods. You don't have to worry. This is proven, tested, and very safe. You shouldn't get into any trouble if you just follow what I do, even though some of the things on the surface seem to look a little bit dodgy. Um, so I'm assuming that you've done the basic tutorials and got your pilot's license. And once you've done those, and they say you got your pilot's license, you'll be sitting here like this, and they'll tell you that you've got a mission. So let's just have a look at it. If you open up your left panel and go on to the transactions tab, there it is, out into the black, and it tells you you've got to go to Mawson Dock in Dromi to deliver something. And so we're going to do that, but not directly. We're going to take a little bit of a detour along the way, and that way we're going to get 9 times as much money for the same thing. So instead of getting 10,000, we're going to get 90,000, which obviously is a lot better. It's just going to take a little tiny bit longer, but the main thing is along the way, you're going to be learning a whole load of skills that are essential to play the game. Right, a couple of things before we start. I'm going to make my ship better by making it worse. This is a bit that's a little bit avant-garde, seems a bit frightening, but you don't have to worry, it's very safe. So you go to the starport services and then to outfitting, and we're going to get rid of our weapons. So sell the pulse lasers. Now you don't need any lasers because we're not going to be fighting anybody, and the things we're doing, nobody's going to come, nobody's going to want to shoot us, so we don't need to shoot back. So I've sold both of those. I've done one just before, so that's why there was only one. Um, then the optional internals, the shields I'm going to sell as well. So, when you did your combat training, if you did it or whatever, you'll notice that you needed your shields, but because we're not getting shot, you don't need them. The only thing you'd need your shields for is in case you bump into something in the station, getting in and getting out. But we've got the advanced docking computer that can take us all the way out the station and bring us in automatically without bumping into anything. So if we use that, we don't need shields at all because there's nothing in space to bump into. And if nobody's going to shoot you, what do you need the shields for? All they do is slow you down. So whatever the jump range was before, I can't remember. But by getting rid of those 3 modules, it's gone up, and that's a big advantage. So the bigger your jump range here, always the better. So with the ship as it was, the jump range is so limited you can't jump to anywhere worthwhile. So you wouldn't be able to go where we're going. So it's essential in our case to sell those things. The other thing I'm going to get rid of is the Super Cruiser assist. It's um it's something they put in for beginners, but in reality, all it does is slow you down. I'll show you how to fly the ship properly so that you don't need that. So we've done that, and then the next thing is um, we need to do something with our fire groups. So if I just come out of that, and then we go to the other panel, and the second tab on there, fire groups, um, you would have had um, against the pulse lasers a number 1 in there, which means they're on trigger 1. But we sold those, so there's now nothing. And mysteriously, they haven't attached a trigger to the discovery scanner, so you need to do it. Otherwise, you can't fire it off. So you just move your cursor to that circle there, and you click it once, it goes 1. That puts it on trigger 1. You press it again, it puts it on trigger 2. So whatever key binding or trigger, whatever you've got assigned to trigger 1 and trigger 2, when you push, pull or whatever that thing, it's going to go off. So we got it on trigger 2. And the reason I've chosen trigger 2 is just custom and practice, because like later you're going to have loads of weapons and other things, and it's like normal to have them on trigger 1. So it's just what I've always done, have these scanners and things on trigger 2. And we won't do fire groups just for now. That's the next column and the next column, etc. That'll come later when we're doing some more specific outfitting. And the same with the modules. I'll just show you that while we're here. But all the modules are listed here. So tab to it, and you can switch them on and off and change priorities and do weird things like that. But we don't need to do anything with that for now. So um, we've covered that. So we've done the fire groups. Next thing we want to do is just check our key bindings for the um, discovery scanner thing. Now the discovery scanner comes in 2 stages. There's the main scanner, which just when you get into the system, you press a button and honk it, and that brings out basic data about the system. But then what we're going to do is open up what's called the FSS, full system spectrum scanner, and look at the planets in more detail, and that's where you get the money for them. So um, when we've looked at it in more detail, we can sell that data and get the money. So because I'm using PC, it's escape options for the and controls here to look for your key bindings. Now, while you're here, I always recommend this. This is useful for fuel scooping later on, but while I'm here, I might as well show you. See where it says show mouse widget. Make sure that's on. The default is off. Just click it and it goes on. And what that does, it puts a dot in the middle of your screen, which is going to be really useful for later. It's like a gun sight almost. And you'll see how useful it is when we come to fuel scooping. So now we come down to modes. I can never see for looking. Mode switches, I think it is. And then it's right down the bottom of that after head look. Right, enter FS mode. You need to be mindful of which button it is you have to press to enter FSS mode. So in my case, it's that dash thing there. Right, so you need that. So that's going to enter the mode. And obviously you're going to need a button to get out of that mode back to normal mode again. And that comes down here in full spectrum system scanner. So let's have a look at that. Now, if you're using a joystick, you need to basically, this thing is a scale along the bottom, which you have to move up and, from side to side. And then there's a dot in the middle, which you've got to like move round X and Y directions to select a planet. And then the thing at the bottom tunes into it. And then you need 2 buttons to zoom in and zoom back out again. So let's just have a look at them. I've got double settings here because I've got joystick, but I use the mouse. So down here, you want mouse, your relative mouse x-axis. Mine's on, seems to work. And pitch inverted. That just decides, if you move the mouse left, whether the thing goes left or right. So, and then you've got the, so that's pitch, and that's yaw. I think when you click it again, it goes inverted or normal. So in my case, it's inverted. So if you just look at yaw off, that only goes on and off. What does that do? Yeah, so you got off, pitch, pitch inverted. So in my case, it's pitch inverted, but you'll see when you do it, if it goes the wrong way when you move the mouse, change it. Right, then this thing, the sensitivity, you're going to have to play with that. That's where mine is, and it depends on your mouse settings in your Windows and the mouse itself. So you need to, so that, the mouse is actually controllable. If it goes too fast, or you can't control it very well, and if it's too slow, it takes ages. So you're gonna have to play with that after you've tried it out. And the same here with the tuning thing. This is the thing that goes from side to side, and that's set with uh, the mouse scroll wheel. So to do the tuning, I'm using the scroll wheel. If you've got a scroll mouse, if you haven't, you're going to have to use keys with your hand for the tuning. But you need keys for the tuning, left and right. In my case, it's the mouse scroll wheel. Just move it backwards and forwards, sort of thing. Whoops. And then you need the yaw and pitch, and you need the zoom in and zoom out. Where's that? Here it is. Zoom in, mouse one. So left and right mouse buttons. I've also got them on my joystick. So all you do is just click in the box and press whichever button you want. You can change it on the keyboard, just click on there, and on whatever button you press on the keyboard or your joystick or whatever, that'll be the one that gets assigned to it. So it's got all these things. I don't use those. So it's just these two, the scroll wheel, and then the last one you need is that same button to get back out. So where is it? The one that's, can I find it by the button? Leave FSS, it should be. There it is there. So either by pressing backspace or that same button. So the default is backspace, but it's not easier to use the same button. You press it once, you enter it, press it again, you leave it. It's more logical to me. Why they put two buttons in there by default, I don't know. So I just added that. You can assign two buttons to whatever, because you've got two columns there for most of these things. So um, you can have a play with those. So that's the important things. You'll see it more. I'll explain it again when we get there, come to do it. And I didn't change anything, so I need to cancel. Yeah, I didn't think I changed anything. Right. So why would it let me? Are you sure to cancel? Yeah, sorry, wrong button. Right. So you need a dot in the screen and you need those things on your scanner. That's it. So we're ready to go now. Um, so first of all, we open up the galaxy map, and this, when you have a mission, you get this symbol, the orange globe-like thing with like crisscrossy things on it. And so normally you would click on that dot there and this route symbol to travel to it. So if we were going to Dromi directly, that's what we do. But we're not going there. We're going to go to a place called Chambo. This is the detour. Just type it in there, exactly as I've done there, and click on that little arrow, and it shows you. Just be careful that this box actually says Chambo, because it's not unusual, for another box nearby to light up. It's not doing it this time. But anyway, so just make sure it says Chambo. Whenever you're doing route plotting, you type it in there, it highlights something, but sometimes a box from a nearby one comes. If you click on, put a symbol on that, you go to the wrong place. So just be mindful of that. So again, we're going to use the root symbol here. While I'm here, I'll just tell you a couple of things. This symbol here is for navigating within a system. So if we're going from one station to another station or a station to a planet within a system, we use this symbol. But if you're traveling anywhere outside the system, you use this one. I'll just click on it and it's making a three-legged route. If we didn't get rid of those modules that we had, it's going to take you all round because it's a very long way. You can't make this jump here. So the only other way is to go around about 10, 15 different systems before it can get to Chambo, which can take you all day, and you won't have enough fuel either. So that's how we get to Chambo. So we're ready for the off now. So here we go. So all we need to do is press auto launch and sit back and let our advanced docking computer do its thing. Now we got no shields. If you're doing this on your own for the first time, you haven't got all your buttons figured out, you know, you could very easily bump into things, and each time you bump into something, you lose a bit of your hull. And when you've lost too much hull, you're in trouble. Now the only problem with the auto docking computer is that it can often let every other ship out the station before it lets you out. So once you got used to flying the ship, I think it's better to use the standard docking computer and always take off and land, always take off manually and then just use the docking computer for landing. So you can see all these ships circling behind, and it's mysterious. You come in and there's nobody else about, but the moment you go to take off, they all materialise from somewhere and you join a long queue. And it also only seems to happen when you're using the advanced docking computer. When you're flying out yourself, you know, there's nobody about. So we've got a long wait while it does all that. Oh, it's letting us out in front of him. So you can take over at any time once you're out of the station. So I'm going to do that now. It will eventually just deactivate. So just take over control. And what will happen is by default, the pips, look on the right hand side now, second from the left, there's those three columns with the pips underneath it. It's very important that you know which button affects those. So we haven't got any shields, so we don't need any pips in systems. Neither have we got any weapons, so we don't need any there. So we might as well put them all in the engines and leave it like that. Right, now the other thing is I found the where we got the vector for where we got to go. That's that I in D. But if you don't know where it is, you're just looking at sky, the little mini radar next to your main one has got like a hollow dot in it. And when it's hollow, it means that what you're looking, where you're supposed to go is behind you. When it's solid, it's in front of you. But all you need to do is push the ship towards that dot, whatever it is, until it's solid and in the middle of your screen. And of course, the thing will come into view, you know, just before it gets to the middle. So all you have to do is point at I and D, go full throttle, and engage your frame shift drive. And we're on our way. So while we're doing that, I'll explain the fuel gauge. You can see right on the right hand side, you've got all those blocks, but there's also a thin line above those, and that's your sort of working tank, the thin line, and it goes down continuously at 0.32 per hour. That's 0.32 blocks, I think. And so if you don't do anything, that goes down. So if you're just parked here, sorry, I should have arrived at 0 throttle. So as soon as you get here, just go to 0 throttle. Yeah, so those blocks, each time you jump, use some of the blocks. But the top line, if you keep an eye on it, you'll see it's just going down and down. And when it gets to the bottom, it'll replenish, but steal another block. And that can be important sometimes. Most of the time not, but... so obviously on your last block, and then it gets to the bottom, you're going to run out of fuel. And if you run out of fuel, you're stuck. You have to call the fuel rats. Right, so we've arrived at the first star with 0 throttle. That way we won't fly into it. So already now I can see the next place we got to go. So I'm going to open up my throttle and fly towards that now. See that yellow line that came just around the star there? Let's see if I can get it back. So when you go forward it comes, when you stop it goes away. You see that? There it is, stop. The dot must stay outside that line at all times. If you go forward with it inside, you fall into the star and start burning, which is horrible. You see sparks all over your dashboard and you take some damage. So I'm flying past the star towards Pladsat, and I'm in I Indy at the moment, but we want to scan I Indy because it's worth some money. So we'll just carry on for a bit, and I was watching the star on my radar, and it's like you can see it there as a sort of smallish blob. Once it gets to about that size, you're ready. So go to 0 throttle or less. You can go reverse if you want, doesn't matter, and open up your FSS with the button. There you are. I haven't got my FS. Yes, I have. So fire off your scanner, and now you'll see on the scale at the bottom the signals. Now I'll just explain very briefly. The ones down here at the bottom we don't need at this point in the game. They're all sorts of things, but nothing of interest to us. The ones here are asteroid clusters and belts and things which have no value. So starting from about there, the planets start to have some value. So we've got one or more planets there. It's actually one. If you look to the top right, there's 5 bodies in this system, and we've mysteriously found 4 of them already. So that leaves 1. So what you do, I'm using the scroll wheel because that's the key I got bound to it. You see, I can scroll up and down till I put it on that line, and that's tuned me into that planet. All I've got to do is find it now. So let's see. Now see these finger pointers that have come? They point to signals that's near where you're tuned to. But when I go see all these glowing things, they're the actual signals. But as you see, nothing changes when I get there. They just sort of point around. But if I tune down, whoops, smoothed it, hold it there. If I tune down to these ones, they're asteroid clusters, so they're no value. But what I'm going to do, what you do is put your crosshairs in the middle of it and click with your finger, and it shows you what that is. And when it's asteroid clusters, a whole group of them will all be confirmed. So you notice that signal's gone completely now, even though there's loads of them. So let me go back to here again. So we're now looking for a blue glowing thing that doesn't have dotted lines on it. These ones with dotted lines are all these ones down at the bottom of the scale. We don't want any of those. Oops, I was using my joystick instead of my mouse then. So we've got to look around the sky. There's another one there. And here we go. The fingers come. Once you're near, they start pointing. See? So come down. And when you get that circle again, that's tuned in and ready to go. If I tune out, you'll see the circle disappears. So if I found the signal but not got it tuned in, you just move the scale until it turns a circle, and tune in. Oh, we've got to do it again. Whenever you get that sort of second ring outside it, that means you're going to have to zoom again. So 4-finger again in my case, until I've got the single circle, and then I click on that, and I've scanned the whole system now because I've got that planet. So I got I think it was about 25,000 K for that. So that's more than twice what we're getting for that mission already. Right, so now we press the button to leave the system scanner, and we're ready to go on to the next system. So it's actually very quick to do that, so we'll see what happens at this one. So here we go with the frame shift drive again, full throttle. Right, 0 throttle now to arrive at the new one, so we don't fly into the star. Now this one, the line, I can tell you from experience, is very wide, so steer well clear of this one. It's not a scoopable one, and it doesn't have that yellow line around it. I think that's a brown dwarf, that one, or something. So just steer well away from it. And I just want to explain something about the each system. Each system is generally like a flat plate with a star in the middle and planets orbiting around it in a flat plane. So what we need to do when we're scanning is to be able to look at all the planets at once and none to be hidden behind the star. So what you want to do is look for the orbit lines. Let's see if we can find them. There's the yellow line planet. See how far out it is on that one. That's what you've got to be careful of. So I'm just going to fly around a bit. Yeah, see if it there. There's the orbit lines for the planets, and you can see them on there. It says unexplored. So you don't want to be pointing straight at them generally, because there might be some behind you hidden by the star. So we go away from the star enough for it to shrink down in size. So you want it about that line about a quarter of the way across your screen, those orbit lines, and that puts enough tilt on that you can see over the planet, over the star to the planets behind it. So I'm going to stop there now and scan. So fire off my DSS. Right, 7 bodies in this one. So here we go again now. They're going to be in the orbit plane, so we know they're going to be sort of basically along this line. So there you can see the ones with the dots in, which are down the bottom of the scale, which we don't want. And already there's one now. Now it's all right if you get dots if the line points to it, because there's no dots there at the moment. So it's only when you're not there with no line. See those other ones, they've all got the like dotted lines, but you're not anywhere near. But once they come, the dotted line first means that you're close to tuning. But we can put our tuning thing right in the middle of the signal on the scale at the bottom. You see that? Look at the scale at the bottom. We put the line right in the middle of it. And now when I move on to there, you get the solid ring. So there we go. In, out, as quick as that. So now we move the pointer's going to point to the next one. In, out. And so we just move around these lines. It's got a double one on that one. Did you see the two rings on it? And there's another one there. That's a single one. Single zoom. That's a single zoom. So we've done them all 7. So that was a bit quicker. So we leave that. Now we're on to Chambo. So looking at our mini radar, it's sort of round here somewhere. Just point at it. Full throttle. Frame shift drive. So we got another couple of thousand for that one. Money for nothing. So I'll do this one a bit more quickly. So 0 throttle. Now this is the end of the line now, so there won't be another target. So I just need to fly past the star and scan the system. So I'm looking for the orbit lines, if I can see them. There they are. So there you are. Put them like that. Quarter way across the screen. I'm watching the star on the radar. It's going down, going down, going down. Yeah, I think that'll do. The only problem is, if you haven't done it enough, is that you end up with a planet behind it, and then you have to reposition yourself to be able to get them on. Now you'll see that there's a lot more on a scale down the bottom. There's a lot more at this end. So these are the bigger ones at this end. And the problem is that the bigger ones mask the signal for the smaller ones. So what you generally have to do is do the big ones and then get all the ones around it. What you tend to have is bigger planets with smaller ones orbiting it. So I'll show you that. So I'm just putting my cursor generally in the middle of all this up here, and that should give me the finger pointers. So there we are, all up. We've got something there. So now we can tune into it. There it is, it's that one. And it's a double circle, so we know we're going to have to like zoom at least one more time. So here it comes again. Now you see all these other blobs. So that's a single one. So we got that one. But now all the other ones, I can tell you, once you've got a big one, all the ones around it will be down here. They're all smaller ones. They're down there somewhere. Let's see. Well, I've got that one straight off. Once you get the hang of this, once you've done a few, you'll see the patterns, how they come. So we've done that big one with all the ones around it. So we can zoom back out again now. Then we can go back up the scale to get the fingers. And then we can start looking. See what I mean? Like that line, That one there is quite close to that star. If we'd tilted just a little bit less, that star could be in front of it, and then you can't scan it. So here we go again, same procedure. So now we go down the scale to these ones, and then scan all these. So you might need a bit of adjustment. Sometimes that writing gets in the way, you can't see where they are. Is that everything? That's it. If there's no more blue flashing, you're done. But be careful, it's not one of the signals down the bottom that's flashing, because you don't want to waste your time with that. Right, so you've got some very faint ones here. It's one of these. So now back down the scale. Get these ones. Where are they? Generally, once you've got one of them, all those orbiting will be the same tuning. Not always, but in many cases. So I don't have to touch the tuning while I'm doing this. So I think I've got all those. So these faint ones are back up here again now. So we've got several stars together. Not stars, big planets. So back down again. That's a double one. So something left there. Back up we go again. What's that one? Oop. Down again. As you find them, the signals on the scale at the bottom disappear. They change to planets. So there's another one there. Oh, they're there. Right, is that everything there? So we've got one left somewhere. There it is. And then finally, one signal left. That's going to be a small planet. There they are, there's two of them next to each other.
System scan complete.
That's it, complete, 31 planets. So that was worth 75,000. So leave that. Now we're going to go to the station to refuel, because we haven't got enough fuel to get back. You can see we've used more than a half a tank. So now you open up your system map. Whatever button you got assigned to that. And we can choose any station. I'm going to choose this one, Deb Settlement. So now we're within the system, so we don't use that one anymore. We use that one. So where is it? So below us, behind us. So you can go full throttle for a bit. Now I'm going to show you. Now don't forget, I got rid of my Super Cruise Assist. If you know how to use it, you can use it. But if you did what I did and got rid of it, there's no advantage in getting rid of it, but it just, you know, I think it's good to learn good practice from the beginning of the game. Because we never had it in my day, we never needed it. So when it says slow down like that, it means you're being slowed down by some gravity. It doesn't mean that you have to slow down. So don't worry about that. I don't know why they put it in red. So just keep a full throttle. Now, where it says Deb Settlement, there's a number underneath it, 172, 170, which is the distance in light seconds. Then underneath that is the time it's going to take to get there if you carry on at the same speed. but your speed never does go the same. So what you do, you go full throttle until it gets to 7 seconds, and the moment it gets to 7 seconds, you hit, whoop, did I get it? I think I was just too late because I was talking. I might have to do it again. What you have to do, no, it's missed it. So I'm going to do what's known as the loop of shame. So, right, back into control again. What you have to do is the moment it gets to 7 seconds, go to 3/4 throttle, 75%. So there you go. And it'll stay on, it'll drift down to 6 seconds and stay there. It might go up and down if you're like slowed down by some nearby planets. But once you've got to 6 seconds, you're safe. And you've got 75% throttle. So it's very useful to have a button or key set to 75% throttle. You know, if there's, I don't think there is one by default, so just use the number 7 on the keyboard. And it's also useful to have 100% throttle and 0% throttle. So I'm now watching the distance. Generally, when it gets to 1 million meters, you'll get the safe disengage. So here it comes. There it is. So drop out the station, single boost, and then ask for docking permissions, which you do on your left-hand panel, third tab, contacts, request docking, and then go to 0 throttle. And at 0 throttle, the docking computer will take over. You can see now that that line underneath where it says fuel robbed another segment, and it's starting to go down again. So the docking computer will land you safely without damage. You can speed things up a lot by flying close to the landing pad and then letting it take over by going 0 throttle. That saves you that does save you a lot of time because the docking computer is not that clever and isn't 100% reliable. I'll tell you some more things about it later. So here we are, Starport services. Click on that. Whoop. So Starport says refuel all. That's all we need from here. And if you look at Universal Cartographics, you can see that from INDI we got 42,000, from Chambo we got 78,000, and from Pladsat we got 7,000. But we're not far enough away to sell them yet. You've got to be 20 light years away. But by the time we get back to Dromi, this one is far enough away so we can sell that one. We'll sell the other 2 later. So all we need to do now is open up a galaxy map and go to Dromi where we were going to go originally. So a little bit further, 4 jumps this time. Let me just check. There is a thing here which we'll use later. Economical route and fastest route. Does it make a difference? 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes a different way, but it's the same number of jumps. So what that does, if you're on economical routes, it does shorter jumps and more jumps, but uses less fuel. And in the fastest route, it does longer jumps and uses more fuel, but less jumps because they're longer. But at this point, it doesn't make any difference. So leave it on economical routes because you use less fuel. Later on, that'll become more important, but I'm just showing it to you for now. Right, so here we go. We can do our auto launch again. This time it should be a bit more straightforward because we're at an outpost and we don't have to queue to get out. So all you need to do is just let the thing get clear of the station. We can see that our destination is slightly behind us, and behind our right hand hip. So up we go. I'm going to take over now. Don't have to wait. So just steering away. You can boost, gets you way faster. So don't forget, I've got those 4 pips to engines. That gets you the maximum boost frequency. So the capacitor's slowly filling up again. And when it fills up, you can boost again. Now when mass lock's gone out, we're ready to go. So I can press my frameshift drive even now while I'm turning. So right, now these next ones, I'm going to do the fast method of moving. And you see what it is. So I showed you all the details in those last ones, but you see how it works now. So 0 throttle, just to be safe. Right, full throttle, fly around the planet. Now I'm going to fire my discovery scanner. And this is called honking. Oh, wrong button. So I didn't do it so fast. So now it says 2 bodies, and it says also system fully scanned. Now when the bodies are close to where you are, the main scanner can find them straight away without having to zoom in on them. So you see it came up discovered A and discovered B, that's the 2. So we're ready now, we're ready to engage our frameshift drive. And I think the same happens at the next one. I'll do it a bit quicker, the next one. I can't remember whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever there. So 0 throttle. At the beginning it's good to keep it in practice because it's dead easy to fly into the star if you're not concentrating. Right, so steer to the outside of it. Full throttle. I'm looking at the dot on my mini radar. Pressing the now the main discovery scanner. And it's done the same again. And already on the right hand side my frameshift drive has cooled down, so I'm ready to go. So we'll see the frameshift cooldown at next. What happens is when you arrive at a new system, it takes about 10 seconds or so for your frameshift to cool down. You can't jump until that's happened. But generally, you don't want to jump when you're like right next to the star because you'll overheat. You just do need a smaller bit of distance. But if you just fly away from it slightly as you go round it, then as soon as it's cooled down, you are ready to jump normally. So I'm going to press my main discovery scanner now as I fly round towards the target, and it's telling me there's 9 in this one. So I'm just flying towards. Now that one's right on the orbit line, so I don't want to fly towards it. So I put the line back, quarter way across the screen. The star on the main radar has now shrunk down to a small blob again. So I'm ready to go with the FSS. So there they are, they're all together. Right, 2 together. Oh, that was one there. Two together. One more. You can ignore all the messages and things that come. There'll be nothing of interest. Right. So now we can go to Dromi. So while we're flying away from the star, yeah, just slow down a little bit, because what will happen is when you open up any galaxy maps and things like that, you stay going at the same speed. You can't throttle down once you've opened up the galaxy or system map. So it's always good to sort of slow down first, otherwise you end up the other side of the galaxy somewhere like miles away. Right, so now we open up the system map, and there's that symbol I told you about, and it's in this station here. So all you do, remember this symbol here, the one within a system, because we're already there. Click on it, and now there it is. It's behind us and below us. So you can open up the throttle again. Now it's quite close. So watching that timer again, and whoops, 7 seconds and 3/4 throttle. Now we can't see the slot at the moment, so I'm just going to wiggle a little bit to see if I can. No, it's not there. So that means it's round the other side somewhere. I'm looking at the hologram on the left of the radar, and if you can see the slot, that's the direction you got to go. But I know, because I can't see it, it's got to be round the other side somewhere. So I've got to come in from the other side. So I'm just looping round a little bit. So if I just keep it at the top of my screen. Not in that side. Now, if you get too close to that planet, it'll slow you down. So and you can't fly through the rings either. So it's up above me somewhere. There's the slot. Just coming to view now on the thing. And where is it? It's the other side of the rings, I think. Is it? No, it's this side, I think. Let's go slowly just to make sure. If you fly into the rings, you crash. But we're getting closer and closer, closer. So it could be on either side. It doesn't tell you. We need to get to 1 million meters. We're at 1.6. No, it's the other side. So you have to fly around. There it is. So we're there now. So disengage. There's the slot down there. So single boost, and then ask for docking permission, and we can go to 0 throttle and let the docking computer take us in. Now, you're okay if you engage the docking computer when you're like this far out, anywhere up to about here. But if you're closer than this, never engage the docking computer. It'll crash you into the station if you're not careful. So you can fly right into the station, which is the quickest way of doing it. Just fly your ship in through the slot, and then the moment you get through the slot, you get 0 throttle to put yourself on the landing pad. But don't engage the frameshift drive close to the slot, because it'll crash you straight into it. It just panics and does a boost to try and rectify it, and then you lose everything. So you can see there's loads of other commanders here. See all those hollow squares? That's all other real commanders. So there we are. They all came straight here. They all started the game and flew over here, and they're collecting their 10,000 credits. But we're a bit cleverer than that. So yeah, it's just telling you to hand in your mission. So we'll do that first. So Starport Services, mission board, and there it is there, out into the black. You click on that, click on choose this reward. So we got our 10,000 credits, and then now we're going to go to Universal Cartographics. Yeah, it's just telling us a load of rubbish. You know that there's other missions. Don't worry about missions. Right, sell page on Cartographics, and as you can see, 78,000. See, they misguide you. They tell you, oh, go to the mission board and get a load of missions, and then waste your time trying to figure out how they work and getting blown up and stuff like that. But you can make a lot more money, a lot more easily and safely, and even sometimes more interestingly, by not taking his advice, just getting on and doing your own thing. Now, there is nothing to keep you in this noob zone. Um, a lot of people are scared to fly out of it, so they're going round and round doing missions here. But it's, I mean, I don't want to be unkind, but they're losers. There's everything is outside this system. You know, the better modules, the ships, everything, all the places to make money, all the interesting things to do. So the only thing this protects you from is if you're playing in open, um, you don't get so many gankers here. There are still one or two, but nobody's going to blow you up for nothing. While as in the old days, you know, they used to be waiting outside the station for you to fly out in your new ship. They'd blow you up and send you straight back again. So they fixed that now with this noob zone. But you know, you're going to have to leave it sooner or later. And as I said, there's absolutely no advantage whatsoever of staying here. There's only disadvantages. So you might as well get on your way and do something more interesting. So that's our first lesson. So I'm going to stop here and then go on to lesson 2, which is basic outfitting and um, fuel scooping. So hope you enjoyed that one. Look out for the next episode, and hopefully I'll see you there.